Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Tuesday, November 13th, the year 2018. Let's talk trading. Are you looking for or waiting for your next trade? I mentioned that, I believe, in yesterday's video that I was going to talk about it. So I thought, well, today's the day. Why not, right? So what do I mean? Well, if you're looking for a trade, there's many ways to do that. You could be looking at one pair, and then you could have maybe 10 different methods. And you try to, and what you're trying to say is there some way I can get into a trade right now? Is there something happening right now? Or you could be scanning through, screening, cycling, all the different pairs. If it's forex or stocks, you have these stock screeners. Okay, so you're looking for that trade. You're looking for what I always call I guess I could call it the trade de jour, trade of the day. Or you could be waiting for a trade. So you could be waiting for price to enter the buy zone, or you could be waiting for price to be in a rat zone or to be in a wick zone. And you just sit back and you wait, as opposed to saying, maybe okay, it's in the wick zone on the 1 minute chart, or it's in the wick zone at a 15-minute chart. Or you could say, no, I only look at daily, weekly, monthly wick zones for entries. And so if price isn't in those areas, I'm not trading. Like I think last week, on my favorite screen, the previous daily, weekly, monthly open, high, and low, or actually, yeah, open, high, and low, there wasn't a trade all day on that screen. No trade. So that means I don't enter a trade. It's like I'm not going to try and force it. So, because one of the things I learned back when I was stock trading was we had have all these indicators. I mean, RSI, MACD, stochastics, moving average, blah, blah, blah. And what most people do is they take these tools and they try to apply it to each and every stock. Well, that's like having a bunch of tools and applying it to a screw. No. If it's a screw, you use a screwdriver. If it's a nut or a bolt, you use a wrench. If it's something that might need pulling or gripping that's, not necessarily a nut or a bolt, you might use a pair of pliers or vice grips. So in other words, you apply the tool to the job. So in trading, in stocks, rather than try to apply all the different tools to whatever stock came along, I said, no, why don't we find out what stocks work best with what tools, or what tools work best with what stocks. So if I have a tool, I can run my milk the cow checker. I said, okay, which stocks work best as a cow? And then I had the run forest run. Well, which stocks work best in the run forest run? So that's what I do. It's just like here in forex trading. Well, we only have a handful. Well, I guess not really a handful. We got a couple of dozen of pairs. Most of them I don't trade. Only on very unique circumstances do I venture outside, the one, two, or three. And I usually stick with just one pair for months at a time, and I get to know that pair. I get to know its tendencies. I get to know what to look for. I get to know when to trade and when not to trade, time of day, day of week, things like that. So, and there's not a right way or a wrong way. So if you are the type of trader that likes looking for, just recognize that. Be honest. And if that's working well for you and you're profitable, well, carry on. And if you wait for your next trade, then carry on. It's just that simple. So, doesn't matter if you're looking for or waiting for, you need to use money and risk management. I bet you guys knew that was coming, right? And here we go. We can see that the euro yen is coming back up because we were down here. We were right around that month, the previous month's close. But you can see here we're pulling up 106 picks off the daily low, and looking here at the buttons, you can see we got a green day right now. Still a red week, but a green month. So on the weekly, you see we were way down here. We're 108 pips off of that low. And you can also see one other thing on the, I think yesterday we were 7 hadn't filled. We got 1, 2 that haven't filled. So, okay, it's Tuesday and all but 2 gaps have filled. So you had the heads up yesterday. If you didn't take advantage of it, don't blame me. I can't push that button on your mouse. You have to do that. And we look at the daily. You see here, we put in a new low. We reversed. We shot through the daily open. So buy zone traders are going to see that they were rewarded. We got 125 pip range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 100. And we've got 5 of them are over 200. And this time the beast is putting in the highest range. And you see we're 19 pips off the high, still in the red rat zone. But we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, here we go. We had a short trigger. And we see price push down, came back. Worst case, you should have scratched. Best case, you got a handful of pips. Then we had a long trigger. If you put your stop here, you got stopped out. But then if you bought again, or if you either bought on this candle or you bought on this candle, you can see it push down. If you got stopped out there, that's just luck. If you hit your stop down here, no threat. Because here, if you bought in here, you can see you faded to the pivot. It took out the pivot. So you might have exited right here, but you can see price continued on. Maybe you took off part of the trade, or maybe you just took the pivot. I am prone to just take the pivot and be done with it. And as I just mentioned, Larry live trade, you see here, we're now out of that rat zone by by 1 pip at the moment. And as we mentioned, we hit the pivot. We actually came down to weekly S2, and then we came off of that. Something to look forward to, an S2 reversal, because I could bring up the price, my real-time price analyzer or price travel analyzer. You know, you can run those live stats while you're trading. You can see how often price wouldn't close below S2. And we still have 2 pivots. We took out today's pivot. We still have 2 open pivots, 2 missed pivots. Price action, 3 ball at the bottom, green at the line. You can see what happened. 2 ball at the top, red at the line. Once again, pips to be made. Price at the line, candle color, you go with the flow. As you can see, profitable trading once again. Wick zones, in and out of the wick zone. the highest open, lowest open. We put in a lowest open right there. And we put in a highest open there, and price came back down. Once again, happens every day. The inventory reduction bars. You see we had a recent short trigger there. We got a long trigger here, had a long trigger back here, profitable, had a short trigger here, profitable. But remember, I always say, I just try and grab a handful of pips or so off of this IRB. And my favorite chart that I alluded to right here, you can see the crossover and then the cross there. So we had the previous day's low crossing down and then crossing back above, and the previous week's low crossing in and then back out. And you can see here, since I opened the chart, not too much up and down. You can see here when the ask price dropped below the peak of the, I'm sorry, this is the valley of the ask. Here's the peak of the bid right here. The ask dropped below it, and so the selling started. And you can see here price came back. The bid came above the valley of the ask. So right there was a nice little profit, and you can see there's more profit to be had, as right here the ask price came below the peak of the bid, and price, we've got selling, which you can see here. So on the Einstein line, I got it on the M5 here. You see we had a trigger, pips to be had. Now we're going the other way, indicated by the selling. And once again, this is ticks. Every time there's a tick, this number goes up. But this number is the distance from when the selling started in pips. So 2.3 pips since selling started. 2.7 pips. 2.8, as you can see, as price is dropping. So waiting for the trade or looking for the trade. See here, I'm a waiter. Just waiting for those trades to appear on each one of these screens. There's certain trades. So once the pivot gets taken out, I'm not looking for pivot trading anymore. See the rat zone? Once again, Larry live trade for 26 pips off the high. So anybody took that trade, you were up. Buy zone. You can see here what is happening. So, fellow traders, just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks.